Hello, and welcome to the Spin Cycle podcast, where we talk about all things pop culture and PR headlines. My name's Kiera McKinney, and here with me today, I'm very excited to introduce, is my bestie, Devin.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here, especially the subject matter. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get into it.
Yes, so Devin is you're one of my very few friends that are as into pop culture as I am.
Obsessed.
So I'm really happy to do this with you. And I asked you specifically to be on this episode about Bravo because you know more about Bravo than anyone else I know. And you're very active on Bravo Twitter. And I just need you keep up with the shows better than I do. So you have to fill in some blanks for me. Um, but I'm really excited. Today, we're going to talk first about this new episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills that just premiered. And I cannot wait to hear your thoughts because we've been texting about watching it, but like we can't share our thoughts because we're like, save it for the pod. So I'm really excited to hear.
I am so excited. I Bravo is my life, and I cannot wait to talk about it with people who will listen.
Yes, right. I've gotten Stuart, my husband, into it so much that today, so I got my hair done and I came home and I was like, "Do you like it?" And he goes, "Yeah, you look like that girl from Real Housewives of Potomac." Talking about Ashley
Ashley.
Darby. Yeah. I'm like, "Yes, this is how I know that I fully converted him."
That is always so funny because my fiance Charlie, he's like says he doesn't pay attention to Housewives, and then one time he's like, "Why are you watching this episode? They were in Vegas last weekend." I go, "I thought you weren't paying attention. I thought you didn't know what was
Talking
going on."
about Salt Lake City.
Yes.
That is funny. I know. They pretend like they hate it and then they're like into the tea. My husband loves drama though. He has two sisters, so he's into the drama. Speaking of drama, let's talk about Beverly Hills. The first thing on my notes, and I want to hear the first thing on yours too. The first thing I wrote down was Paris's invitation BS LOL relax Kyle.
Yes, like I just don't even understand because it's something that comes with Kyle having her sister on a show with her. Like it just can't because the first season the sister is on, they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, we're besties, we're back together." Second season, done, cut, and Renna is the focus of all of that. Renna will be
She's
like,
living.
she's living for it. Renna will see Kyle having a relationship with her sisters, and she'll be like, Iyanla Van Zant, not on my watch. Renna does not like the Richard sisters being a family unit at all.
No, she does not. I mean, and before Renna, it was Brandy Glanville that was
Mm-hmm.
always out to drive
Yes.
a wedge between Kim and Kyle. And let me just say, like, before we talk about anything else, I have to say, I hate that woman. Brandy Glanville is number one on my shit list of, like, the housewives I hate the most, like, in history. She's number one. I can't stand her.
I was rewatching some of the old seasons, and I remember they got in that fight at Eileen Davidson's house where they were doing
I
poker
love
night,
Eileen.
and
Yeah.
they were just like kind of fist fighting in the street, like Kyle and Brandy. And
Yes, because Brandy's always pushing people.
I know, putting her hands on
And she's
people.
so tall. It's like, girl, you're scary.
That would not fly on any other of the cities. I noticed that a
No.
lot of the behavior and the way that they talk to each other on Beverly Hills would not happen in Atlanta,
Oh,
Jersey,
girl.
Potomac. Absolutely not.
Jersey, especially. I feel like, you know, people, of course, are always going to say like Atlanta and Potomac are like the most biting because they're black
Wonder
women. So
why?
they're going to, yeah, they're going to get labeled that. But realistically, it's New Jersey. Like,
Yes,
I think New Jersey, they're like the most vicious.
especially in the earlier seasons of Jersey, because that's family shit. That's more than just
Yes.
friends. And it was so great, especially in the older seasons at the reunion. Like Jacqueline Larita punched Caroline Manzo in the face when she was pregnant. It was just
Oh my god. I love the Larita Manzo like connection. I love it.
dynamic. I wish that Dina and Caroline would talk again, but that's not happening
I
anytime.
know. Caroline really blew that. Okay, back to Beverly. We're going to do this so much. Okay. Another thing but I just, okay, so Paris's invitation being on the couch and her being like, Mauricio, you're sitting on Paris's invitation. It's like, well, then why is it on the couch?
Yeah, because
First
that
of all,
fridge or in the counter. Don't get mad at Mauricio. And Mauricio is blazed like 90% of the time. He probably didn't even notice that it
oh,
was on the couch.
always.
Uh,
Yeah. And then I thought it was funny that that was Kyle's opening scene because it's like her sisters are no longer on the show, and yet that her sisters are still like the
the
most
main, the most
like
interesting
interesting thing about her.
thing on the
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
It's like Teresa and Melissa.
the Teresa show.
Yeah.
They don't like hearing it, but it's true. It was with Beverly Hills. It's so funny. Like when Portia walked in, how old she is. I could not believe it. I was just like, because I remember when she was like
I
a little
know.
baby, and I was like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yes. That's, yes, absolutely. It's been so weird because you and I, so we kind of skipped over. I want to talk about our, like, how we got into Bravo, but you and I have both been watching since like the very beginning.
Mhm.
And so because of that, we have like kind of grown up alongside of some
Yes,
of the kids,
yes.
like Gia. Like, we're not that much older than Gia.
No,
It's kind of crazy.
that is. I
It's kind of
totally
crazy. We've
sympathize
like
with
watched
her
her.
when she just
Me too.
gave Joe the business. I was like, I've been there. She articulated herself a lot better than I would
Yes.
have. She didn't raise her voice or swear one time. I was like, good
Oh
for her.
yeah.
But I've been watching Bravo
Yeah, I'm
a long
currently feuding with my mother's brother.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so weird like when they first come on screen after being on break and then you're like, "Oh my god, you're 87 years old now."
I know. Especially when you
Another thing I thought was No, go ahead, sorry.
no, especially when you like grew up with them. Like, who is that? Like, let me look it up.
Yeah. It's so weird. And all of Kyle and Mauricio's girls look exactly alike, which, I mean, so do the
Mhm.
Giudice girls. But like those two sets of women, like all share a face.
I copy
It's
paste.
bizarre.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got to talk about Erica's new house.
It's so
I'm
small.
perplexed by it. I feel like it's like, is it a rental? First of
Ab-
all, it's got to be, right?
absolutely. Absolutely a rental. It is has to be. He is fraudulent, fake. It is absolute rental. And I used to be the biggest Erica stan. I can't. It's all such a facade. Her
Yeah.
glam is no longer with her because since they're not getting paid. So
Yes. Actually, speaking of her glam, her first, I think it was her first confessional look was terrible. It was like that lilac
yeah,
blouse she was wearing with like straight hair. I hated it. She looked like a suburban mom.
I know, and that was totally against her brand at first, and then now since she's no longer Mrs. Girardi, she's going back to that like
Yeah.
lilac stuff. And her voice, she's like,
Aesthetic.
"I'm back, I'm back. My name's Erica." I'm just like, ugh, I can't with her.
And the thing is I enjoy Erica. Like, I would never want her off the show,
No,
but I'm
never.
definitely, yeah, I want her on my television forever, but I'm not necessarily on her team.
Exactly. Every good cast needs a villain. That's the one reason why that I've seen since I've been watching Housewives from the beginning how social media takes a big presence into the casting. They'll be like, get them off. I don't want them. They're mean, whatever. So when social media gets the villain fired, then they complain the next season, oh, it's boring. I'm like, you
Yeah.
need a dynamic. You need a mixture.
Dude, best example of that is Orange County with Kelly
Mm,
Dodd.
yes.
Everybody was like, "Get her off of our TV screens because she's a Trump supporter." But it's like, okay, well now OC is this snooze fest, and they're all Trump supporters too.
And yes, and I don't look for these women as a moral compass. I don't care as long as they're entertaining. I'm from the
Yeah,
OG housewife days when they would just have their blog posts and Facebook.
Yes.
And I've been
Yes.
watching Housewives since I was 12 years old, and I was a creep and added all of the kids and the parents on Facebook. Still friends with Simon Barney, and when him and Tamara were going at it, his posts were electric. It was so funny. Now it's just Twitter. But the Facebook and the blog era of Housewives was top tier chef's kiss. Amazing.
Oh my God, I missed that era. So I am glad to hear about it from you. I feel like I didn't even start like following them off of the show until Instagram became a thing.
Hmm.
Because even when I first got on Twitter, the only celebrity that was on Twitter was John Mayer.
Yeah.
He
Like
was
John
like,
Mayer and like Travis Barker, they're like the only people that were on. Because I had
yes.
Twitter before and then I deleted it because like none of my friends had it. The only people that had Twitter were celebrities. So I was like, this is pointless. And then 2011 came and I was like, okay, I need one now. It's
Yeah.
back.
Yes. I did the same thing with Snapchat too, but I keep deleting it. I just can't get
You
into
do.
it. I'm too old. I just keep getting rid of it. But yeah, so Erica's house, it's like, it was really beautiful from the outside, and then you go inside. And then when they're in her kitchen, and then meanwhile, Lisa Rinna is like visiting her new poor friend, and she's like, "Look, I'm dripping in Gucci. I have a Gucci bag inside of an Hermes purse." I'm like, "Girlfriend, this is not proper etiquette for visiting your friend at their downsized house."
Lisa Rinna loves a broken bird, which is funny because that's what she said about Lisa Vanderpump. Like Lisa Rinna loves a friend. She loves a friend who is doing very much better than her, very rich friend, until she gets mad at them and gets jealous. And she also loves a friend who needs saving. Like Lisa's a Captain Save-A-Ho. She needs somebody to like come and help. She needs that so she can feel better.
I'm dead. I'm dead. That's so true, though.
Because her daughters
That's
keep
like,
moving to New York every 6 months.
yeah. Yeah, and like in dating old men.
Yes.
So then but the thing about Erica, like the inside of her house, it's like she could do more. It looked like she like had thrifted her furniture
Yeah.
and stuff. I was like, is this did this come fully furnished? Like
Did she
I
just
don't
move
understand.
in? I don't understand.
Yeah,
And
it was odd.
I was not a fan of her look at all, but I made a note. I did love Kyle's look. Her the transitional scene at the bottom.
Yes.
She looked
Yes.
amazing.
She did. And so I love when Kyle does her hair really big.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I like when she does it really big or when she ties it back. But sometimes, like, I feel like and maybe this is just shitty of me to say, but sometimes I feel like she's too old to have hair as long as she does.
Yes, I was just about to say that because at a certain age, like the long hair kind of makes you look older.
Yeah.
And she's so pretty, especially after her newest nose job that she
great
did
nose
on the
job.
new Halloween movie. She said she broke her nose, but just be honest, it
Yeah.
looks great.
It does. It looks so good.
Work.
All good nose jobs across the Bravo universe.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love a good nose job. But so then when we go to Crystal, but like basically the only note I have about Crystal in this entire episode was that I was bored by her. I said, I'm bored by Crystal. I'm just so bored of her. She's always just like, she's like talking to her kids and she's like cutting cucumbers or some shit. And it's like, girl, you already gave us nothing last season.
No.
And now your opening scene is cutting vegetables. I can't deal.
Hot take, I hate children on Housewives unless they're involved in the drama or something.
Teenagers are fine.
Yes.
Children, annoying. Yeah.
Yes, I don't care about the kid's birthday party. And if you're going to be a teenager on the show, do some drama. Like back in the OC days, they were drinking in bowling alleys, but they were still mic'd up.
Yes.
They were
oh my God, yes.
Like the good stuff. I don't really care about the birthday parties, teaching them how to drive, going to college. I just think it's super boring to me personally. I just cannot with that.
Me too. I mean, like, yeah, I need them to like give some major drama, like Jacqueline's daughter Ashley.
Mm-hmm. Love and light,
like, love and light, bitch. And then even like separate from that, she was just like a bad kid. She was ungrateful and just like Such a brat. She was such a brat. I felt so bad for Jacqueline. Ugh. She like didn't Jacqueline didn't have much patience for her, and so people like criticized her, but I was like, I wouldn't have any patience for that child either.
Yeah, she had zero patience, especially with Nicholas's health issues as well. Like she was just like, I
Yeah.
don't have time for this kid to get mad at me for the stupidest shit. And Chris was
Yeah.
the discipline for that.
Yes, which sucks because that's her stepdad.
I know.
It's like that sucks. It's like, oh my god. But yeah, that's the best example of it. And ironically, my next note is Dorit's fucking kids' names are so stupid. And I was like, Jagger and Phoenix.
Well, at least she like talks about Phoenix. This is the first time she's ever mentioned her name
I
in her
know.
entire tenure on Housewives.
Jaggy. Jaggy. Also, okay, so I think this might have been later, but at one point so her kids were doing karate in the backyard. And I'm like, what? What is, you won't let your kids have like a normal experience going to a karate studio and like maybe making a friend or something?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have the karate teacher come to your house.
That was also, I feel like, very good editing by the producer, having them and Dorit do karate and like self defense, and then get robbed the same night.
That is so funny. I didn't even put that together, but that is so funny and true. But okay, before we even get to the robbery, we have other things to cover because that's going to take, I figure, a bulk of conversation about the robbery. But okay, we do have to talk about Garcelle and Sutton's friendships. What do you think about them?
I am very confused by that, but I do like it because I enjoy both of them. I just feel like they're on the outs with the core group, so they need to band together.
Yeah, it's like an alliance more than a friendship.
It's like an alliance, and Sutton is kind of timid and meek, and Garcelle will say what needs to be said. Like, I don't understand why the women of Beverly Hills are so scared of Erica. Like, during the dinner when she yelled at Sutton, or what? Why didn't Sutton just, like, laugh in her face or be like, you're going to sue me with what money? Like, like Sutton doesn't have the vernacular to read because she's, Southern Belle, nice, blah, 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 blah. She doesn't really have it, so she needs Garcelle, her strong black friend, to come and kind of.
Yeah. That's a really good point because I was like, it's a weird, like, unlikely pairing that the Southern Belle and the token black lady are hitting it off. Like, that's kind of weird. Yeah. But that's a really good point because I do feel like Sutton is, like, comfortable throwing shade, but she's not comfortable reading. And those are two different things.
Yes, very different.
Like, because she can definitely, like, throw shade and be a little bit, like, coy in that way. And, I mean, they call her out for it all the time. I mean, that's what, what's her name? Crystal, can't ever remember her name, said in her confessional. She was like, I know that when she's trying to be cheeky, it comes across as a dig or a jab. And it's like, I don't even really think it's, like, digging or jagging. It's just throwing shade. Like, come on.
Sutton can't really spar one-on-one.
Right.
Kind of and then she gets cryy, which as someone who is an angry crier, I know it's very frustrating because it seems like a sign of weakness, but Sutton can't really spar and go toe for toe. So she needs Garcelle. Oh my God. Speaking of Crystal earlier, that fight last season with them was so fucking stupid.
So stupid. I'm so glad that they admitted it, that both of them admitted it, because I'm sorry, but I didn't understand, like, really where Crystal's race came in. Like, I didn't really even understand, like, what she was trying to make of Sutton's, like, comments. And so when I felt so bad when Sutton was crying and she's like, I really don't see color, because the thing is some people say that and it means one thing.
But some say it means, like, a good... I could tell where Sutton was coming from.
Yes.
But that's the thing with these housewives. These are affluent, older white women. You can't expect them to, like, pick up on everything and know everything.
they're not going to be woke. Like you just
No.
like you have to see their intentions. Otherwise, you're going to think that they're all terrible people.
Yes.
Like,
Sutton had no ill intentions on what she said, but like after she said it, I was like, ugh. And then I was like, stop talking, stop talking. But that's there's a quote from Bob the drag queen. She's like, if you call a white person a racist, there's no way they can go back from it. Because if they say, no, I'm not, and then everyone's like, you're lying. So, like, you can never
yeah.
come back from that. So, I can see why Sutton was like panicked and crying because she's like, I'm not racist, I swear. And everyone's like, lying bitch.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. No, it's like, what are they supposed to say back? Because, like, everything's problematic. You can't say, no, I have so many black friends. Like, that's not an adequate
Oh,
answer.
yeah, you have black friends, you have black people who
Yeah.
like you.
Yes. Oh my God, Dorit being like, yeah, I make sure that all the people who work for me are black. It's like, that's
That's
not the
not,
flex you think it is.
no, man. This is not gone
And
with
for
the
the
wind.
and for those listening and not watching, Devin and I are both black women.
Yes. Yes. I
That's
mean, I
probably
sound like
something to
it
say.
because of the Midwestern accent, but I am a black woman. I have 4 black grandparents.
I don't. I only have 2, but hey, it counts for something. Okay. Also, here's here was my favorite part of the episode. It stuck with me the whole time. I want to know who is Erica fucking.
Yes. I heard
Where?
the rumblings on who it may be. I did hear it was Army Hammer.
Okay, she did say something about and some not so good people.
So I feel like that may be the T, but I want to know who it is. Just name names.
Name names, bitch. And if you're not going to name names, at least name where you're meeting them. Are you on an app? Are you going out? Are you like what? How are we
Yeah.
getting the dick?
I feel like she's on
How?
Raya.
I feel like she's on Raya too. If she would be accepted, because they're very finicky.
They're very picky, and who would be her reference? I feel like I just want to know because I'm a nosy bitch. I want to know who Erica is fucking, and I want to know how she's paying for because she has toned down, and they make
Yeah.
a decent amount of money on the show, but
Yeah.
the music she has some bops, but it's not. You can't support her previous lifestyle by doing Pride weekends.
Yeah.
Like not even a
Yeah.
top booking. You can't support that. So
I know. I'm so curious about like all of them and the way they operate. But one thing I do know, and I'm not like saying this as a claim, but one thing I do know about rich people and people who are rich adjacent is that they never spend their own money anyway. Everything is like
nope.
loans or like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, or like credit.
Yeah.
So
Never their own money.
yeah, so that's an important element.
And then Erica is just wringing out the rag too on everything. She's like, there's a documentary. There's all this stuff about me because I watched the documentary. She did not look good in that. But
Really?
no, it's the Housewives.
Wait, on the Hulu?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I watched that. Yes, Housewives and the Hustler. I watched that one, and I watched the Shaw Shocker one too.
I watched that one too.
Yeah,
That
I watched both of them, but I felt like it's weird because I watched both of them, and then I watched each of them on their shows, Jen and Erica, and like they're given such sympathetic edits.
very, very sympathetic edits because they're the money makers and the main person on the show. Because I knew segue to Salt Lake City for like 1 second. I knew something was up with Jen Shaw because there's no way you were doing all of that with your husband being a coach. And my fiance, he was like, "Well, he coaches in Pac-12." I go, "But he's an assistant linebackers coach for Utah.
Yeah.
It's not like he's like Nick Saban or anything like that. Like that has that money. You're a coach for Utah. There's no single way that she's paying for all that by herself."
No, and like an interesting thing that they kind of tried to twist in that second season of Salt Lake City is they were like, "Oh, we've always purported that Jen is the breadwinner." And it's like, "No, you haven't."
You did not.
Because when she threw that huge party for Meredith in like the first
Mhm.
episode, quote unquote, for Meredith, it
Yeah.
was more for her, quote unquote, for Meredith. She was like, "Oh, I'm not even telling Sharif." She like didn't tell Sharif about it, so she made it seem as though if she was spending her husband's money.
Yeah, that is not how they made it seem at all. And then Jim was always like, I have businesses. Well, what kind?
Yeah,
What do they do?
she's
What do
like,
you
"It's lead generation," and then she's like, "It's not lead generation."
And then she was like, eyelashes.
Yeah.
Like, you're just saying shit, bitch.
Literally.
My
Yes,
clothing
that is
line.
so funny.
No one's buying any of these housewives' clothes ever.
No, 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 no.
No, the
I
only
mean, go
like the,
ahead.
the only housewife product I would buy is Sonia's toaster oven when it eventually comes out, like 10 years later.
Okay, I have to make it. I have to make a confession. I bought some of Wild Rose Beauty's products.
Whitney, how is that?
Yes. Okay. I love the toner.
Ooh.
It's in a spray bottle, so you
Mm.
like spray it on, and which I love because I hate like wasting like cotton swabs and stuff every day. So it's like spray on, and you like it. It works. It's good.
I like Whitney, even though because
Problematic.
she's so problematic and she's so stupid. Like that scene when they're at Top Golf
Oh
for
my god,
Jaw's
she was
party,
hammered.
hammered, and her poor husband is just trying to hit some balls with his friend, and Whitney comes up, try this or whatever her Justin is
Justin.
like, they're just and she's slurring and just tripping over herself, almost falls into the net at Top Golf, and he's just like, I
Yeah.
wanted to just play at Top Golf. I
Jen Shaw
want.
throw her drink at her own party.
Who gives a fuck about Mary? Oh my god.
Iconic. Stop talking about fucking Mary.
God,
Oh my
R.I.P.
god.
Mary Cosby.
I know.
Salt Lake City's not going to be the same.
I want her to come back. I want her to make a redemption tour.
I do too, because I wanted her to say what I wanted her to defend herself because
Yes.
Mary was letting Heather have it. And it was like, was she called Heather an inbred?
I didn't like that though. Because she probably is.
I know.
So I was like, you're married to your grandpa, Mary.
Exactly.
You can't call other people inbred.
Like, you got mad at Jen for calling you a grandpa fucker, and then now you're saying somebody's inbred.
Yes. Okay. In general, what makes a great housewife is the lack of self-awareness. Owning no mirrors.
Love it.
Not a mirror. It's like just like it's
That's
such
I love a
delusion.
housewife with no self-awareness, just pure blind delusion, aka Luann, when she's trying to
Yes.
like a $200 cover for her cabaret to sing cover songs. Love it. And you cannot tell her that bitch is not Celine Dion, and I appreciate it.
Honestly, like I'd rather go see Luann than Celine Dion.
I would love to see Luann. I am begging to see Luann. That would be the highlight of my life.
Oh my god, let's do it. I'm gonna pull up our tour schedule in a little bit. Okay, back to this episode.
Yeah.
We have to talk about Tablegate. And before we get to the robbery, we have to talk about Tablegate. And I have to say that I'm on no one's side. I think that Lisa's lying. I think that Sutton did invite her to her table and pay for it and whatever. But I think that she doesn't like. Why is she holding on to not getting a thank you? Is it really because of the Garcelle and Sauce comparison, or is this completely separate? I can't understand.
I just feel like because I know these bitches talk to each other outside of the show.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, we're going to start filming. We need to get our game plan. So Sutton's like, let me plant the seed with Rinna in your defense. Because I had to look it up. I was like, wait, how is Elton John involved? What is going on? But I mean, I'm on no one's side, even though Sutton did have a point, because Rinna was going after Garcelle for not saying thank
about Sauce
for Harry's sauce, which is very insane. And in that reunion, I did not like how they treated Garcelle, because
Yeah.
especially in today's climate with like buzzwords,
Yeah.
like calling aggressive, you're so
Oh.
angry, when she's just like a Black woman articulating her feelings. Because honestly, if I was
Garcelle is the most
She's not
laid back Black woman on Bravo.
she's not
The most laid back Black woman on Bravo, and maybe the universe.
Yes. Like, I would have called them aggressive, because Dorit, let me finish Garcelle. Like, that was aggressive.
Ugh.
Like, it's just, I don't know what thing that Rinna has for Garcelle, even though they used to be best friends, but we all know that Rinna is the worst friend
Jealous.
in Bravo history. The
She
worst
is
friend.
a terrible friend.
Her
She
and
is a
Tamra Barney are the worst friends
Oh.
in Bravo history. We all know it. She doesn't keep friends for long. Like, she threw Denise Richards to the
And Phaedra.
And Phaedra.
Wait, let's throw Phaedra in there.
Phaedra's not a good friend. Made up that rate
No.
for what reason? There was no reason for that.
So crazy. Craziest thing ever. So, I mean, and to me, like, Sutton honestly is the most relatable.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Like, I feel like even though she's probably like the richest and like the furthest away from reality out of all of them, she's somehow the most relatable.
Yeah, they've also been fighting on social media too, Sutton.
I know. And Sutton drug her ass when she said, "Now Lisa." Now Lisa, you know I've known my husband since we were kids. And it's like, that was the perfect response.
Yeah, they've always had a weird beef, but also, as much as some people don't like Rinna always understands the assignment and shows up to work.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
last year when Rinna said something about Sutton's daughter and her daughter's like hanging out, whatever, and Sutton was like, I don't think so. Like, she's not like your daughters. And Rinna was like, what does that mean? I'm like, you know what that means. Like, your daughter is very like LA cool girls, and Sutton's daughter, she's probably a nice girl, but she's not like, you know what I'm saying?
She's not an influencer.
Yeah,
she's not a fucking LA influencer who's dating celebrities and like globe trotting. I don't think that that's an insult. And I think that that's Sutton being protective of her children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm partial to Sutton. I'm partial to Garcelle. I think they're both very relatable. Partially just because Sutton is like, she has the exact same personality as my grandmother. Like, just like a Southern lady who's like not as uptight as she looks. You know, like she just cracks me up. But
I can't wait for their bitch flowers to bloom, Sutton and Garcelle, because I was sick of, again, the children, the COVID content of them doing homework on the island, the co-parenting. Oh, your kids, you want your kids humble. They're not going to have Gucci slides. They're going to have this. I don't care.
Yeah.
Stop.
It's not for me.
Not for me at all.
It's not for me. So Erica and Garcelle work out together.
That was so weird.
Let's talk about that scene. Because I wrote in my notes, Erica and Garcelle's dynamic makes my butthole pucker.
Like
it's
so weird. And then they were speaking like Haitian to each other, like they're besties.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, when did you guys become friends? Like, what transpired for you guys to be friends? Because at the reunion, Erica was like, I'm not talking to any of those bitches. Like,
that was such a good Erica.
Like, I just don't understand what happened. Is there an apology, or would you guys just squash it for a film and make this money? I don't understand what.
Well, Erica needs that check.
She does.
You know? She's got to work for that check. She's got to pull like a Rinna out of her ass. Because Lisa Rinna earns every cent that she makes.
She comes out swinging. That's the one thing. I love a housewife that shows up to work. Like, don't skip vacations, dinners, kind of like Ashley Darby. She was breastfeeding and showed up to that dinner and then left. She's like, I have to come to work. Like,
yes, because she was like, I'm leaving this man. I'm leaving him when my contract's up.
Paid per episode, you show up to work and you deliver. You don't just skip out on stuff, and that's how you get fired, because you think you're too big for it.
Yes. Okay, now we can get into the break-in.
Girl.
I have many thoughts. So
Girl.
the footage was weird, okay? And here's what's weird to me about the footage.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird that, to me, it seemed like they were wearing very identifiable clothing.
Yes, and they showed up for a robbery with no bags.
Yes, that they used the comforter. I took note of that too. I'm like, you showed up unprepared, wearing identifiable clothing. They walk around in the foyer just like with their flashlights for a little bit. Like that's like part of the footage we see. They're just like walking in circles. And it felt very like I don't want to say that I like don't believe it or anything, but it did seem staged to me.
Yes, like the kids sleep with her every single night, but that night they don't, and they owe a lot of money to a lot of people. So,
yeah,
I mean, I didn't want to say it was staged because that is horrific.
That's an allegation
with your kids there, but it was just at first.
But some things are off.
Things are very off. I thought that I was like, I don't know, I'm not buying this, and then she showed up on camera with no glam. I was like, oh, this is either real or she is getting that. If they had an Emmy for it, she's getting it. She's
yes. Okay, so a couple of things. One, I also thought it was weird that they asked for jewelry and handbags. Because again, identifiable if you're going to pawn them.
Yeah, jewelry and handbags are very, especially like Dorit's handbags. There's like serial numbers.
Yeah. So I'm like, again, identifiable. It's weird. And then, like you said, weird that the kids were not sleeping with her when they normally do. And then I thought it was weird that they had the cameras arrive that day at Kyle's house. They did that whole thing, and then that we see her reunion with PK for the first time while he was in London, while she experienced a break-in where she was held at gunpoint. That we see it on camera, and it's anticlimactic as fuck. That was weird to me.
Yes, he didn't go home and see his kids first. He just straight to Kyle and Mauricio's.
Yes, that was really strange.
Like, I don't understand, like, the phone flashing. They left her phone by the gate.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if
it was flashing. I noticed that too, but I thought it was crazy. So that makes me feel better, actually.
Like, there's a lot of holes in that.
Yes.
And I don't want to say I don't believe it, because I am in the middle.
I'm in the middle too.
There's a little fishy going on.
It's like 50-50 for me. Yeah. It's like it could very much be that this is really what happened at face value. It could also be that it's a variation of what really happened, and it could also be just completely staged and or fabricated.
Yeah. And it also sounds just like the story, not the story, but when Kim Kardashian got robbed in Paris. It sounds just like the same exact thing.
I thought the same thing when the story broke. Before we even like saw any footage, when I saw the story, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, this is eerily similar to Kim Kardashian's. But also another thing that you mentioned about like the kids, you said like, why did he go to Kyle's instead of going to see his kids? Why? You would think if Dorit experienced that she would not want to leave her kids.
Leave them, yeah.
So that was weird to me that she left the kids and was like, oh, I needed to get away from the kids 24 hours after being held hostage, allegedly. Yeah. And then the second thing is that she swears, the gun to your head, and she swears that the kids don't know anything.
I don't buy
Also, she still has her wedding ring.
I did not see that, and they just kept that. That thing's a rock. And
right.
I cannot wait to see what else transpires, because I want to know the full tea. But Dorit was working it for that check.
Yes.
Like I made a note about the dogs when the doorbell rang at Kyle's and the dogs were barking.
I made a note about that too. That was too much. And then the fact that it was Garcelle, it just sent me. I was like, are you scared of the dogs barking or of the black woman approaching? Or I'm like, are you really like worried about the dogs when you know Garcelle hasn't arrived yet and that there's still another person coming?
Yes. I made a note when Garcelle walked in and Erica's like, yeah. She goes, yeah, Garcelle, they had a gun to her head.
Yeah. And Garcelle's like, okay.
Like, all right.
We're off to the races.
Like,
And she said it to Garcelle as if like Garcelle like did it. She's like, they had a gun to your head. To her head, Garcelle. I was like, oh my God.
I did get a chuckle about when the robbers were dragging the bags like Santa Claus.
Like, yes.
Right.
It was very like the Grinch.
Yes, very much so.
And that's coming from someone who has never seen the full movie because I'm scared of it.
Yes, I have never heard that before, but I always make note during Christmas time to not post or share any Grinch content because I know that about you.
I literally I'll block people for it. I'm like, I can't do it. I mute the word. I wish you could mute images because like it literally sends a chill down my spine.
Sensitive content.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so now we have to talk about like kind of everybody's reactions to this happening. And I have a lot of thoughts about the way Sutton reacted. Because again, I relate to her. So a couple thoughts. One, okay, to talk about Sutton's reaction, we have to first talk about Kyle's. Kyle like forlornly looking out the window and crying and like just sitting there alone and just the staged like cry sesh for the camera was a little much for me. I personally find it off-putting and uncomfortable when I see people crying for other people, like on behalf of other people's circumstances. That makes me uncomfortable.
Because she was acting like she was there.
Yes, she was acting like she witnessed it. And so I felt like Sutton's reaction was not to Dorit, it was to Kyle.
Yes, because when Kyle like diminished, but then again, it was funny because
yeah,
when Sutton goes, I had a long day too, and then but then again, you can't diminish her problems because she has problems too. And then Kyle was like, well, so it's not the same thing. And Sutton's like, not like I had a gun in my head or anything.
Sorry.
And I thought that was kind of funny, even though it was maybe in poor taste, but I love that in a housewife. So I thought Sutton is in her era, ready to go.
Yes, and I actually liked it and related to it and found it refreshing because all of the other women are like crying without Dorit even being in their vicinity. I understand crying for your friend when she's crying in front of you. That whole thing makes sense to me. But the fact that they were just like away from her, totally separate, and just crying about the situation was very strange and annoying to me. I was like, why are you crying for her? Like I understand being like in a weird funk or even like, just being like, oh, I just, have this fog over me today because of what happened is one thing, but actively crying is a lot. It's a lot.
And Rinna, you already know she's there for that check. Like she was doing her crying and everything. And she was like, so basically, can I still have my party? She was like, I feel weird. But
I actually found it also annoying that she was going to cancel the party. It's like,
that didn't make sense to me.
Because it's like, it's your husband's party. It's not Dorit or PK's party. So why would you cancel Harry's party for 2 people?
Yeah. Just don't come.
Yeah. Just tell them like, hey, if you don't want to come tomorrow, I totally understand. That's one thing. But being like, should I cancel my husband's 70th birthday? And PK's like, no. PK's like, why would you do that?
Doesn't make any sense. I used to hate PK at the beginning, but I kind of did a turn on PK. I like him, but I've never done a 180 on a husband more than Travis from Dallas. Because I hated Travis at first. But with PK, I'm like, okay, I like him, even though you're into some shady shit, obviously. Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about PK. I like him for Dorit. I think he's like a nice husband and father, but I think he's very protective of his wife, but I get put off by the men who get too involved in the drama. He's kind of Beverly Hills' Joe Gorga.
I can't. I don't like it. It's like that. Are you new here? This is for girls only.
Yeah. Yes.
When the men get involved in like Peter from Atlanta, but he did
Oh,
bring in some good content. But like, I hate how Jersey. I know we keep switching over, but Jersey,
I know.
how they keep trying to force this husband's
Mm-hmm.
dynamic when I don't like it. It's
No,
not for me. No.
I don't like it at all. I do not watch Bravo. I do not watch Real Housewives for the opinions of men.
No. We could have some good gays on there
Yeah.
that actually bring something, because I know how Atlanta likes to wear their gays as accessories. But
There
like,
are a lot of gays there.
there are a lot of gays, but like,
It's a gay hub.
have them do like something of like value,
Yeah.
because
Instead of just
Atlanta.
being there and like
Yes.
popping their tongues and saying hunty or whatever.
Yes, because the Atlanta girls are so homophobic. They will throw
That's a
your
great point.
husband's gay rumor in a second, so it's fake. Like,
That's true.
that's why I say use them as accessories, because you're not really an ally. You just use them as accessories, and then you're like, oh yeah, well, your husband's gay. Like, that's
Yeah, that is weird. It was fair for Ashley Darby on Potomac. I think her
well,
husband
yeah,
is gay.
sexually assaulted a cameraman and still kept his job.
Oh, ugh.
How?
Actually, so creepy. I hate it. Okay. So Sutton. So her action or her reaction, like I give a pass for it because I think that she was, like I said, like reacting more to Kyle's weirdness than to
Hmm.
Dorit's trauma.
Yeah,
And so whatever.
I
And I
agree with
love Kyle. Yeah, I love Kyle, but like I don't really like trust her judgment.
No, not at all. I love Kyle as well. But I feel like she is the type of person who's like, if you're not feeling the same way that I do about this, you're wrong. Which is one thing that I always hate when like you are expressing something that's bothering you. And it's the same thing, people are like, oh yeah, well, there's people dying all over the world. I go, yeah, but
Yeah.
let me feel my feelings, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's fair for Sutton to be, if she really like came over maybe like excited to like vent to her friend and then her friend was only concerned about another friend, how that could be upsetting.
Yeah.
So, I think that some people are taking that like completely
Hmm.
like out of context and I don't think it's fair.
No, and they're not even friends like that. I mean, I'm not saying you have to not have empathy for someone you don't know, but she's
Yeah.
not gonna harp on it if they're not even cool like that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, are we just gonna sit here and like talk about the same thing we've probably both been talking about all day long to everybody? Like, it's just weird, and it whatever. I don't get it. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a great first episode.
I did too.
I thought that it covered a lot of bases, and I thought that it. The only thing I was disappointed in is that we didn't get to meet Diana.
No, and Rena is Renaing and latching on to the new girl to get her on her team, and I am here for it until
Yes.
they eventually switch tides.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great episode. Of course, Twitter's like, oh, the best episode ever. No, Beverly Hills has had some better episodes than that, but that
The
was a
dinner
very
party from hell with the psychic.
yes. That is one of the best Beverly Hills episodes. Top 10 franchise
Yeah.
episode when she cut the sprinklers on them. Oh my god.
Honestly, that episode deserves an Emmy.
I know. Like, it was a very good episode. I am so happy that they didn't hit us with the to be continued like Bravo
Oh,
loves to do, or they
yeah.
didn't wait till like 15 minutes left to show the robbery.
Yeah, I actually thought that they did a really good job with the robbery because you're right. It is very on brand for Bravo to do a to be continued and like just show the like outside footage and like make us wait till next week to see
That
the
would
whole
piss
thing.
me off to no end.
Me too. Me too. So annoying. But overall I thought it was good. I'm really excited about the rest of the season. The like previews of Diana seem like she's really scary. And I want to talk about the after show. And on the after show, Kyle actually said there was a like who would you rather like get in a fight. Who would you rather not get in a fight with, basically? And it was Teresa or Diana, and she picked Diana.
I saw that. So that means the newbie is gonna have something to show. Is the newbie the one who got bit by that rat at Rena's house? Did you hear
I
that?
don't. No, okay, yes, but it's a different one. It's Sheree.
Okay, yeah. I was just like, someone got bit by
It's the new black woman, which I
Yeah.
can't wait to meet her either. But I'm particularly excited about Diana because she's just like apparently a force.
I
Let
am
me pause
excited.
for a second. Hold on. Resume. Cool. Okay. So that's kind of our thoughts on Beverly Hills. Tell me more about the after show, though. One thing I wrote down is that I'm not cool with people forgiving Brandy.
I am a mixed bag on Brandy Glanville. I do think she is a horrible person, but
Yeah.
But the one thing about Brandy, which why everyone says, "Oh, she's the best villain," blah 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 blah. I don't think so because she doesn't say anything. Like she doesn't
Never.
come with any receipts, nothing. She just says it. And then when Kaya was like, "One thing I know about Brandy Glanville, she's not a liar." When there's you can roll the tape, Brandy Glanville's a fucking liar. Like I mean,
Yeah.
we could forgive Brandy, but I just don't. She did give us a lot of good content, especially when Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rules would do those like spin-off, like not the spin-offs, like
The crossovers.
yeah, the crossover episodes. Those
Loved
were good.
those.
I just don't know how they could ever bring Brandy back because who would she be friends with? Who would she interact with? And that's like years of like
Damage.
going on. You can't bring in Kim. You can't bring
Fuck
in
no.
Denise to side with Brandy. I mean,
No.
you could, but she's not coming back. Like these housewives
Yeah.
don't want to air all their shit,
Mhm.
so the call for Brandy to come back needs to be hung up because I don't think it's going to happen because she would just
Yeah.
be a one season return fighting for her life, and Brandy does not have the vernacular to do that. But she did clear Rinna because ever since then, Rinna has been wearing wigs.
The hair.
And Rinna has the same hairstyle for 20 years.
But that's the only smart read. That's the only read she's really ever done.
Yes.
And it just happened to be spot on.
Yes, Rinna's face and Andy. I love when Andy laughs behind the cards.
Me too.
It is so funny.
Nothing makes me happier than when he is like, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but he's openly laughing at it.
Mhm.
I love it. Okay, I also want to know your thoughts about LVP not reaching out to Dorit/PK.
Well, I saw on Twitter that the one thing I love about LVP is because she's older. She doesn't know how to post a proper receipt. So she posted these like blurred receipts that a screenshot within a screenshot of her
Yes.
reaching out to them. I don't even know how to feel about that because I was a big LVP fan.
Me
and
too.
then part of me is like, well, did they reach out to her after her horseback riding thing? I mean, the way they treated her after her brother died was
Yeah.
they just kicked her
That
off.
nobody
the
gave a
show.
shit.
They kicked her-
Yeah, I mean, they were awful to her all through all of the like deaths and trauma that she was going through, and then they accused her of selling stories to the press. And let me just tell you, as the resident publicist here, that nobody sells stories anymore. Newspapers, magazines, etc. are not budgeting to purchase information from anyone. It was planted, it was leaked, it was whatever, but my guess is that it came from production.
Yeah, absolutely. And over that fucking dog too, the Lucy.
Yeah. Over something that didn't even matter that much, and they just like came at her and were like, you're planning these stories, and I don't understand. Like, I think it insulted her for a lot of reasons. Number one, that she would like sell them out for money when she's like, she was clearly like the richest. Why would she do that? I think that they were just supremely jealous of Lisa, honestly. I think she
Yeah.
was just like in a league above them and they couldn't really handle that.
That was one of the all-time gang ups I have ever
Mm-hmm.
seen
Mm-hmm.
in Housewives history. It's I don't know if you watch Survivor, but it was just like Survivor. They all just came in and did a blind side and all just voted Lisa off the island and she just left. I mean, I do
Yeah.
miss her because she was a different vibe between Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rules. Like,
Yes.
it's a completely different Lisa each time. And I really appreciate it. I do miss Lisa Vanderpump. I loved her. I thought she was great on Beverly Hills. Um, and of course, the goodbye, Kyle. From
Goodbye, Kyle. I love Ken.
I know,
Remember when he threatened to fight James Kennedy?
I know. He goes, "I'll punch your fucking mouth out."
I love anybody who steps to James Kennedy. I hate that guy.
Like a 1920s boxer about to throw fisticuffs. He's like, "I'll punch your fucking mouth out." I was like, "What are you doing?"
Ken. Oh,
Oh, I miss him.
I love him. Okay, so also okay, when Dorit did that little outfit game, she shaded Meredith so hard.
Meredith makes some choices,
Sure.
but
Sure.
so does Dorit. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like I don't understand like just because they have different styles. Like Dorit goes for like the whole like BDSM like punk slut look a lot,
yes,
and like Meredith would never do that. Like Meredith
yeah,
likes feathers and blazers.
yeah.
Like it's just a different style. But I think that both of them are pretty out there. But both of them also like work with celebrities, so I think it wasn't like the wisest of Dorit to throw shade at Meredith like that, who has a
No.
celebrity fashion brand.
Exactly. I don't think that was very like a good PR move on my part. Like they have completely different styles, like you said. Dorit loves the labels. She
Yeah.
mixes them in, and Meredith is just like Elton John and Rocket Man, like a ABBA,
Yes.
Liberace, just full on, just
Yes.
buffoonery. But it works
She
sometimes.
she wants to look like a fashionista, but she also wants to embrace her age a little more. Usually
Mhm.
that plunge top is not a good example of that. But I think with the blazers, she's trying to like kind of embrace that she's like an older sexy person.
Mhm.
Like she's very like comfortable with looking sexy, but she does want to like acknowledge her age more than Dorit does. But it's weird to me that she threw shade at her like that since they do both work in the same industry.
Yeah, the same exact industry. It was kind of cuts out some of their ties as well. And I haven't
Yeah.
even heard anything about Dorit's clothing. Like, remember, like the whole bikini
It's not
shit she
real.
was doing, like the bikini shit. I was just like, I haven't heard a peep from that.
I know. It's like She by Sheree.
Yes, those fucking joggers.
Oh my
October,
god.
September, I don't know.
September, summer.
Summer.
This summer, October. Oh my god. Okay, so here's something that I wrote, and you watched Ultimate Girls Trip 1, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I figured, but just to confirm. I wrote, it's interesting how Kyle has no problem playing that witch housewife game, but she was really against Cynthia's Bailey Q questions.
Yes, those were the questions about like who's the prettiest. That was what it kind of.
Yeah, she
I
like
remember. Yeah.
didn't like doing the Bailey Q game that it like giving people, which the whole point of the Bailey Q game was to give everybody like
Yeah.
a title.
Yeah.
Like not to put them against each other, but to give everybody something to like be like the best of or the most of, most
Yeah,
likely
she
to.
kind of like lost her shit with that, which I didn't really understand because I watching the girls trip, it was great seeing all the housewives in a different light
Yeah,
outside of there because it made me like Kenya. I used to hate
me too.
and it made me like her. I don't understand. I feel like since Kyle is not out of her element per se, but she was the only Beverly Hills girl there because Rinna couldn't come. So I feel
Mhm.
like she had to kind of maneuver around and actually make friends with people.
Yeah.
So I just didn't really understand that fight with her and Cynthia, but also Cynthia that whole trip had a weird aura and vibe
Yeah,
with
she
her
did.
because she knew she wasn't going to be a housewife anymore. Because if we had to pick a villain besides Ramona,
Yeah.
if,
The villain is Ramona.
I mean, the villain is Ramona, but Cynthia was kind of like getting into it with everybody.
She was, but like at the same time, to be honest with you, I felt sorry for her.
So did I.
Because I was like, she's not vibing with these women because something's wrong with her. She's just not vibing with these women because they're not like her.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't anything, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with Cynthia that made her like unlikable. She just didn't have a kindred spirit there the way that other people did.
And I get the vibe with Cynthia sometimes that she's like weird with friends. Like when she made that friendship contract with Nene, I kind of want to think that she's like, you can be my friend and no one else's. So Kenya's talking to Kyle or whatever. Kenya just dump me. I was like, I don't think that's the case. It's just we're here for a week and want to meet new people,
broaden
and
our
hang out with
horizons.
Broaden our horizons. We can't just be these two like Boxy twins just hanging.
Yeah,
the whole time.
It gives me the same vibes as like Jen Shah, how she's like, I'm fighting with them, so you can't be friends with them.
Yes, but wouldn't you want to have somebody on the inside to know what they're saying about you?
Right. If you're a schemer like us.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like play both sides all you want as long as you're more loyal to me.
Yes, I'll listen to what's being said and then report back.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought it was interesting how Kyle like really leaned into that like watch what happens live game. But she was like so like clutching her pearls about Cynthia's game. And I think that this is the second time we've seen how she's had a double standard for Black women.
I agree. I do.
I love her, and I'm still standing by that. But like we said earlier, I think she's like super sheltered and doesn't maybe like know very many Black people. And I think she does have it. I don't think she's a racist person, but I think she may have an unconscious bias.
Yeah, which happens with everybody.
Yeah.
I do feel like Kyle has that for sure. And I didn't notice that too on the game. I was like, you're so ready for that game, but with Cynthia, you're like, oh no, I can't do that because I have daughters. And she said something like, what do your daughters have to do with that? Even though they are beautiful. And they even played the game too on What Happens Live. They were there bartending.
Yes. I felt like she shut Cynthia down in a kind of like, in a way where she was like, this is like a game that Black women play, but I'm not like comfortable with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She's like, I don't really throw shade.
Yeah. And then she's on Watch What Happens Live doing like this housewife or this housewife, which would you rather, whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's answering off the bat. And like, here's the thing. I know that it's Watch What Happens Live, whatever, but I think that if it were like, I think that if she were to be like equal about the situation, then she would at least have some sort of like humility when answering the questions or like be visibly uncomfortable. And she wasn't. She was like, she was going balls to the wall. She was having a great time. So that's what I didn't like about the difference between that and how she treated Cynthia.
That's how
yeah, and I like Cynthia's Bailey Q. I thought was think is like the cutest like thing. I thought on Girls Trip her night was like could have been the best night, and Kyle kind of ruined it.
Yeah, it was just a weird vibe because Kyle just made it a big thing, and then everybody, of course, kind of
jumped on the bandwagon.
Kyle, and then I could understand that too because even Kenya, who was late,
that was so fucked up of her. I love Kenya. I loved Kenya before Girls Trip. But I love Kenya, but her being late to her best friend's night when it's her up against all these white ladies, I didn't think that was cool.
And she just
like gotta stick together.
Just totally like dismissed her.
Mm-hmm.
And did not even seem, she's like, what's your problem? And I really felt sad for Kenya on the Girls Trip because I know everyone's like, oh, Cynthia's boring. Well, sometimes she kind of is, but like,
she's way less boring than Candy.
Yeah, or like
Candy's the most boring.
Emily from
Yes.
like
Ugh.
Emily's storyline is her husband's a piece of shit who took 12 years to pass the bar.
And her husband is like a miniature sized person. Like he looks like a teenager. He looks like he never went through puberty.
He's so gross to me. Like I don't understand. Shane, that's why like I do miss
Shane.
Candy from time to time. Not Candy shit. Kelly Dodd. When they were fighting,
yeah.
and then she was talking to Emily, that fucking loser over
Yeah,
there.
she's like, that fucking loser. I
Like-
watch that clip sometimes just to get some serotonin.
And I don't know if I remember this about you. You hate Harry Potter, right? Or do you like Harry Potter?
I hate Harry Potter. That was the first conversation I ever had with my husband.
I remember that because Shane looks.
I know Harry Potter though.
Yeah. So Shane looks just like this guy who forms into a rat. His name's Peter Pettigrew. He turns into Scabbers, and if you look up Peter Pettigrew, and that looks just like Shane to me.
Oh my god!
Or just Google like.
Stop! No. Oh my god, I'm dead.
That looks like Shane.
That looks exactly like him. It looks like if Shane and PK had a baby.
God, ew.
You know what's fucking nuts? And you've probably seen me post or tweet this before, but PK and Dorit have the same age gap as me and Stuart.
That is impossible. Because
I know. I always show him pictures of PK and I'm like, this is why you need to wear sunscreen.
Yes.
Because we're going to look like this. Like, look how far apart they look.
This is why we moisturize, babe.
Yes. I'm like, you need a facial to get it together. Okay. Now, a great segue to talking about Vanderpump Rules is unconscious bias. So, I really want to talk about Vanderpump Rules. Stassi just got married, and Kristen Doty did not go.
I know. Her invite got rescinded. She was disinvited.
So what's the tea about that? Do you know any more tea? I've gathered some intel, but I don't have any hard facts.
I was trying to find something from Kristen because I did some research. Kristen and Sheena were disinvited, which was weird.
I thought Sheena went.
I don't think Sheena...
Did she not?
Sheena didn't go.
I didn't even catch that.
I mean, I was shocked because Sheena and Stassi never got along, but Kristen was the most surprising. I was not able to find any like hardcore facts about it, but the only one on the cast who went was Katie. Because Schwartz wasn't there, obviously.
Schwartz was there.
Oh, shit.
Schwartz was there. No, that was the weirdest part. That's why I was so confused about Kristen not being there, because I was like, even Schwartz went.
I hate Schwartz.
Tom and Katie both went.
Stassi looked so beautiful in her wedding. Like her dinner dress, everything was...
I loved it. Okay, TBD on Tom Schwartz, but I'm pretty sure Tom Schwartz went. I'm trying to find... Oh, I gathered evidence. I forgot. Last night I put a folder in my phone called Podcast Evidence.
I was not the biggest Katie fan, not gonna lie. But
okay, I've always been a Katie apologist.
You are, and a Jax apologist. The only thing we disagree on. I hate him. He blocked me on Twitter.
Here's the thing. First of all, okay. The thing about Jax is I recognize he's a terrible person. He is a narcissist, possibly a psychopath. I don't think he's a sociopath because I think he does feel emotions. I think he just only feels them mostly toward himself. He doesn't really feel empathy.
Yeah.
But he feels feelings, you know? But the thing about Jax is that he's fucking funny. Like, he just makes me laugh. He makes me laugh. I think he's a completely ridiculous human being. I think that the show really sucks without him. Hold on, my cat's crying. Like, I think he's funny. I think that he's ridiculous. The thing is sometimes the way that he interprets situations, I agree with. It's kind of like Abby Lee Miller on Dance Moms.
all gonna have fun.
That's like the most comparable. Yeah, we're all gonna have fun. That's what I compare it to. It's like, it's not that I think he's a good person, but I think he's funny, and I do like appreciate his perspective sometimes.
I always loved,
but there.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say that the people that I really dislike on Vanderpump Rules, in my opinion, the villains are Tom Sandoval and Ariana.
God, they think they're so cool.
I hate them. I hate them.
Ariana's like, I'm not in the middle.
Especially Ariana.
I always loved when Jax how he hated James, even though he is James.
But he's not James, though. He is James, but he's not, because James is outwardly mean to people, where Jax really can be a surface level friend.
Yeah.
And James, it's you can't even be a surface level friend with him unless he wants to fuck you.
Yes. That is so true. I remember there was one point when Jax was like, dude, I was you 2 years ago, and then I grew up. And I'm like, you're 20 years older than him. You were acting like that at 38. Let this 22-year-old kid be a douche. And
he was lying about his age when he was doing it too.
James, he's a terrible person. That's the thing. Vanderpump Rules, they're all terrible people, but at least they're entertaining.
Yeah.
Unlike, the men on Vanderpump Rules are all genuinely awful, but at least they're entertaining. Even though much as I hate Jax, he's entertaining. Southern Charm, guys, it's a chore to watch Southern Charm because the men are so awful.
That's why I can't.
It's literally a chore. But
I went to Alabama. I don't need to watch Southern Charm. Okay, I lived it.
Jax literally would always crack me up. How Lisa accused him of stealing the wine bottles, and he was like, "No, I didn't." Well, yeah, a couple.
I have. But not this.
What does?
He's insane. Okay. All of them have clinical mental disorders. But Jax and James honestly, Jax, James, and Tom, they're all such big narcissists that it's Jax is just the lowest on the totem pole to me because he's so dumb.
And Ariana clearly hates Tom. We know that, right? She hates him.
She's the worst. I think she hates everyone. I think she hates everything. I think she's the most negative, sourpuss, just whiny bitch in the world. I do not like her, at all. I like Stassi and Kristen more than I like Adriana.
Ariana, she complains. She's like, I'm not in with all the drama, all this stuff. But then get off the show, bitch, if you don't want to be on there. And then Tom, he's like, Ariana, I want you to say that you love me. I want you to give me a hug when you come home from work. And she's like, I don't want to do that. Okay.
And he wants kids and she doesn't, and they're still together after how many years? It's y'all have fundamentally different values. You need to break up.
The prime, Vanderpump Rules before the last 2 seasons that just happened.
Yeah.
Top tier television.
Amazing television.
Vanderpump Rules was at one point my favorite Bravo.
Me too.
It was so good.
Riveting.
These people are terrible people. They're 35 years old, bartenders getting hammered. Smoking,
and all of them are sleeping together. They're sleeping together and then changing partners. And so during COVID, I made my husband watch it from beginning to end because I was like, I just have a feeling you're gonna like this, and he did. He loved it. Hi, Charlie.
Hey. Kiara says hi. Wine delivery.
I love that. Ooh, I need that too. But yeah, I thought it was really weird that Kristen didn't go to the wedding, but I did notice that the only Vanderpump baby she posted a first birthday post for was Cruz.
I hate that name. That is such a Bravo name. There's like 5 kids on Bravo
I
named
know.
Cruz, and I can't.
You mentioned Travis Holman. They have a cruise.
I know. So many cruises. And I just don't. I want to know what happened because I love Kristen because she was just
She's amazing television.
like when she called the Miami girl to come to the restaurant. When
Brilliant.
she told Diana, she goes, "Suck a dick." Told her.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. She's fucking crazy.
Suck a dick.
I loved when Kristen and Tom broke up and she went over there like in a full cocktail gown, like
Yes. And it's so funny, their old apartments when the show first started, just disgusting.
disgusting. I mean, like worse than my college apartment.
Yes,
I was like,
same.
you couldn't pay me to live there, but you definitely couldn't pay me to have you film me living there.
Right, I would have to rent something. At least my college apartment had air conditioning and a working microwave.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, how do y'all live like this? And then they'd have parties in their tiny apartments. Those are the best. Especially the one where that we found out that Jax was cheating with Faith. That party, that was the
That
best.
was insane. And then I wanted to hear more about that. They didn't even like talk more about that at all.
I know.
There was like the old woman Faith was supposed to be caretaking for, and then Jax
she was like in the room.
She was in the room. Disgusting individuals.
I can't.
Have some decorum.
We have learned though that Jax will fuck anywhere. Anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Anywhere, anyone, anything.
Andy said on his episode of Hot Ones that he thinks that Jax fucks guys. He says it all the time, honestly.
I mean, he did. Remember that guy in Miami who Jax lived with?
That he claims that they had like a platonic relationship, but there's no way.
I don't want to say any rumors, but like
I love rumors.
I think, like as much as I like hate Jax, when you and I talk about it, I'm just like, okay, yeah, she's right there. She's right there. Like I hate him, but God, he's good TV. But like, and then Brittany,
dude, I can't decide how I feel.
Rotten hail, Jax.
Rotten hail, Jax. No, I can't ever decide about how I feel about her because it's like on one hand I feel sorry for her because she did like pack up her life and move across the country from your home state to Kentucky.
Yes, where we live now. Like we went to this bar. Charlie took me to Lexington where he went to school and we were just going around and we were at this bar called Two Keys and they have a camera, like a TV with all these pictures on it. And I look up and it's Jax and Brittany. Like as like the famous guests of Two Keys.
Yeah.
And she had a full ass boyfriend and then moved to Los Angeles for Jax Taylor.
I did not know that. I had no idea that she had a boyfriend at the time. And they met in Vegas, so that's weird too.
Yes.
But
Jax should not be allowed in Vegas anymore. Like when he asked Stassi for money for like rent or whatever, but it was to pay for the girl's abortion. Oh my God.
They can't go to Vegas or Miami. Because that's where Tom cheated.
Tom cheats everywhere he goes. Tom Schwartz. Yeah. I made out with her, Bubba, and I didn't know. I made out with her, Bubba. I'm sorry.
I thought it was you. The thing about Tom Schwartz is like I believe him so much more than the others. Like when I believe that he's dumb.
Absolutely.
And I believe that he's just, I don't know. He's just a simpleton.
He is an absolute buffoon, a doofus. And I just like there's the one reason why I turned on Katie because I was just like, sister, I can't help you anymore. Like when Tom poured that beer on her early seasons, And then it's just I like Tom Schwartz is a visualization of weaponized incompetence for me,
Yeah.
and I just can't with it.
Yeah. But if I had to marry any of the Vanderpump Rules guys, I'd pick Tom.
Tom Schwartz, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Sandoval, no.
No.
Jack,
I would kill
absolutely
myself.
not. I would
rather be married to Jax than James or Tom Sandoval.
James, when he's like 105 pounds soaking wet, but when he gets hammered, when he spit on Kristen's door,
Dude, that was bananas. When he said something about, did you hear about how Jax fucked Faith? When
the rap.
Brittany's like when Brittany's in the front row, like just everything he does is just like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? He was so mean to Lala. He was right about Lala and Randall, and everybody knew it. But like the thing about Lala and Randall, and like when people get into relationships like that, you can't tell them otherwise.
No.
They're not going to listen to you. They have to figure it out on their own.
And they kind of glossed over it, but basically what Lala said when her and James hooked up the one time, she's like, I was just so drunk, I just let him fuck me.
Yeah.
Shall we unpack that?
Yeah. Have you told a therapist this before, perhaps?
You're drunk.
A policeman?
Coercion?
Yeah.
Which is not okay. Like, and then, who was it? Did you hear that? I saw some rumors that Raquel and Tom Schwartz were like seen like making out.
I did see that, but I also saw like cast members like tweeting about how it was false, and they never addressed the blinds, and they addressed that one.
Yeah, I don't think that that's true because I love my Bambi-eyed Raquel.
My Bambi-eyed bitch.
Not a thought between those ears. I love her.
I love her too. She's so pure. Dude, on that reunion when she said that she and James hadn't had sex for 2 years, I mean, that about knocked me on my ass. I was like, 2 years? I feel like, and Stuart and I like paused it, and I was like, how long would we have to go for you to like say something?
Exactly.
And he was like a month. And it's like, yeah. That's crazy.
Like, you guys just don't talk. Like, if there was a month where we're not even like talking about it, like, hey, we're both busy with work or whatever, but 2 years, how do you feel about Charlie on Vanderpump?
I hate her.
I did like how she just kind of cleared Jax and them at the virtual reunion. Because Jax, the way he spoke to her, and she was just like, she's like, Jax, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I definitely love anybody who dismisses Jax, because I think
so mad.
It's like that's what you have to do with Jax, and that's kind of why he doesn't bother me so much, because you can just dismiss him. Nothing he says like holds any weight, so he's really not that dangerous. Just don't trust him, and then you're fine. Like that's what I mean by he can be like a surface level friend. Yeah. But James Kennedy's gonna call you fat.
Yes, like he did with Katie. Because Katie was like, hey, your shorts are falling down. He goes, oh yeah, you fucking fat bitch. I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah. So it's like you really can't, like, that's why I think he's so much worse than Jax, because you can't maintain a surface level friendship with Jax. And like James is just gonna call you fat. He's gonna call your significant other fat. He's gonna call everybody fat and stupid, and he's gonna spit on your door.
Yeah, because James, you'll be coming at him with like a little BB gun, and he'll just like, oh yeah, here's a bazooka. Like, even though we'll be like just trading like light shade and light reads, and he'll be like, oh yeah, you're fat, you fucking ugly bitch, and your husband's cheating on you, and you'll die alone. Like, oh well, all right.
It's very Kim Richards.
Yes. I love her. I know
I do too.
It's a hot take. I love Kim Richards. She is amazing.
I do too. She's just like not afraid of anybody, and I love a TV personality who is not afraid of anybody.
When she like she kicked off Beverly Hills when she was like, "You stole my goddamn house." I'm just like,
Yes.
"Excuse me? What?
Iconic. It was literally iconic.
Who stole whose house?" So everyone did the digging. Kim is fabulous. She steals from Target.
Yes. She's a good old klepto.
She's a good old klepto.
I love that. I love that for her. What do you think they're gonna do long term about Vanderpump Rules?
I feel, as much as it pains me to say, we may be seeing the sun setting on Vanderpump Rules. I feel like if we get a new season, that may be the last. It's just not what it used to be.
They just announced that. They just announced that they're doing season 10. And I figure that because it's season 10, that will be their farewell.
Yeah, everyone has kids now, and the new cast, they didn't make it.
No.
Because they're just
boring.
They were boring as shit. They put poor Sheena in there for a couple episodes. She's like 35, 36 doing arts and crafts with these 22-year-old bartenders. It's just like, I feel like the sun setting on Vanderpump Rules. I mean, if they want to do like a shot of Narcan to Vanderpump Rules, they might have to bring back Stassi. And
they're gonna have to. Yeah, they're gonna have to. I don't know if they will though. Okay, so how do you feel about Stassi and Kristen's firing, and how do you feel about Stassi writing her book about it?
Okay. I don't feel like they were being racist per se, but what they said and what they did, saying that like Faith stole from them, they don't know the implications of what they said. The one thing that made me most angry was that the fact that they were doing it for Jax, that they were like sacrificing their careers for Jax, and they put this woman's life in jeopardy, Faith. Mm-hmm. I just disagree with, like, why even get involved, especially when Jax has treated both of you horribly. So now you guys lost both of your jobs. Kristen in that fucking t-shirt and all that shit. It's just like, it's not going to work. And because
graphic tees aren't even in anymore, Kristen.
No. When Faith said they called the cops on her, I was like, that's past like Mean Girl. I've taken it too far. That is just. But then again, they probably didn't know. Well, actually, probably they didn't know. I just did not like the whole situation, especially because it was over Jax.
Yeah.
And how they just made the situation go from 10 to 1,000. Like, that was ridiculous. And the fact they lost their jobs over a guy who has rolled back the film, Andy.
Yeah, please show the film, Andy.
Show the film, Andy. Treated you both horribly. Talk shit.
Stassi slapped Kristen over this man.
Exactly. Like, I wanted Faith back. She deserved better. Stassi, Kristen deserved better. I just did not enjoy that entire situation. I thought it was.
I totally agree. I felt like it just like wasn't. I don't know. I think that it was totally wrong what they did. I'm going to start by saying that.
Absolutely.
Like, they were completely in the wrong. I don't really understand why anybody would call the police unless they felt that their life was threatened. And like, I don't understand why you would get involved in like, why would you accuse somebody of something that doesn't have anything to do with you? If they had been the ones that have been stolen from, and they thought it was fake, and they called the cops, that's one thing. Yeah. But if they're just talking about random shit, like, it doesn't even concern you. No. So why are you doing this? And what I hated about Stassi's kind of response to it was that in her book, she was like, well, we're on this reality show where we're supposed to stir shit up. So we just thought we were stirring shit up.
That's way more than stirring shit up, girl.
Yeah, that's not causing drama. Ends when the police are called. It's no longer drama when law enforcement is involved.
Exactly.
I just think that's crazy. However, all of that being said, I don't think they should have gotten fired for what they
Neither
did.
do I. My personal opinion on that, they should have gotten fired. If anything,
Yeah,
fired Jack.
yeah, yeah, and which they did, but like, I
Yeah.
just don't. I don't agree with them being fired over it. I think that it would have been a lot more interesting to watch them have to deal with that allegation on
Yes.
camera. And like, I feel like that would have been more interesting. I think that would have also held their feet to the fire more. I kind of think
Absolutely.
that, yeah, I think that Stassi being able to kind of like hide within her pregnancy after that was a cop out. And them not being on the show was almost, um, I think that almost gave them more popularity, or like, I guess,
Mhm.
saved face for them more, because I think had they had to come on the show and answer for themselves, they would have lost more fans than they actually did by not being on the show at all.
Exactly. I agree. Like, I don't believe in wiping people off of things for being canceled. Hold
Yeah.
them accountable. I want to see you sweat. I want to see you squirm. I want to see your. I don't want you to just like go away. Like, no, I
Hmm.
want to see how you, especially if you want to come back and redeem yourself. I want to see how you do it. I don't want you to just
Yeah.
go away for a year and be like, and then come back with a notes app Instagram post, be like, I've done some soul searching. Like,
Yeah.
no, I want to see the souls you've been searching. I don't want to just do.
Yes. Tell me about it. Tell me about what that
I want
soul
to
searching
see.
journey.
I don't want to just a
What has
notes
it been
app.
like for you? Yeah, and I did see that in Stassi's book. She said that she hired like a diversity coach, which is cool, and that would have been cool to see on the show. I
Yes,
would
that
have
would be
rather
perfect.
seen that.
Hmm.
And I don't want to give her money directly to read about it in her book, partially because I don't want to read her book. I didn't read the first one. I mean, I respect her and her author journey and whatever, and I do like her objectively, but like, I don't need to read a book. First book was dumb too. It was like a guide to being a basic bitch. It's like,
I saw that. Yeah, I think I have that somewhere around here. I did
but
read that.
it's like, who wants to be a basic bitch? Not me.
Not I.
Yeah. And nothing about the word basic like speaks to me. So, but that's just me. And then this one is called like Off with My Head or
Mm.
whatever, and she made it all like, which I didn't like that. I didn't like the I don't love that she named it that because it seems very victimy.
Trying to be like some sort of like martyr.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. And I wish it would have been something more like about, I understand the comparison to being like publicly crucified and humiliated or whatever, but I wish that she had drawn more of an allusion to maybe like stockades or like something like a little bit
Yeah.
more comical. Like, I don't know, the off with my head thing to me was too like, oh, poor me. Like,
Yes.
I
I've
got
been attacked for no
unfairly.
reason.
Yeah, yeah, it's very much like when Trump says there's like a witch hunt after him.
Like, is there?
Yeah, it's like, that's because you're a witch.
The one thing that I've always like kind of hated about Vanderpump Rules, but in like a light way, is I mean, as a millennial, they do that millennial shit humor all the time. Like they have friends stuff all over their house. They do like
Yeah.
she's my lobster, blah 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 blah. I'm just like maybe because I've been on TikTok too long, and they make fun of the millennial humor,
No, it
and I'm
has
just
nothing
like
to do with
I
TikTok
see
because
that
that's
like
correct.
it's so
And be
cringe.
honest about who you're talking about, it's Brittany.
Yes, he's my
Because
lobster. God,
she has that like the couchies like sign above their bed. And it's like, none of you go by that last name.
no. Like I love
Why is it
Friends,
on your
it's
wall?
fine, but no, stop it. Like I hate that shit. Like they had the little thing above there. No, who was it? Was it Jackson Brittany that had like the Friends thing above the peephole, but their peephole was weird, so it was like askew off to the side.
No, no.
Was that
I know
Tom
who
and
you're
Katie?
talking. It was either Tom or Katie, or I think it was Tom and Katie.
It was like it would
Yeah,
bug me every single time, and the producer would show it on purpose because it was like the
yeah.
peephole was here, and then like The frame was like 4 inches to the right. Infuriating.
And the total like irony of that anyway, because like it's such a shitty apartment and the friend's apartment is like known for being like way too nice for anybody to be able to afford.
Yeah, it's like $2 million now if we were to do today's like housing prices.
I know. I don't get it. Oh my god. All right. Well, we are at an hour and 35 minutes. So I think that we've got ourselves an episode here. I definitely want to have you back on to talk about more pop culture stuff, more Bravo stuff, etc.
Absolutely.
Because we didn't even really get to get into New Jersey this time, and I want to do that. I want to do a whole lot of other stuff, and you'll have to like recap for me on like Southern Charm and Summer House and all that stuff because I just don't watch it. So we'll have to do that
Absolutely.
sometime.
We can do that. And the reunion part 3 for Jersey is tonight, so we can talk about that. This was so much fun.
Yes.
I am so excited. This is so much fun. I talk about Bravo any time of the day, any day of the week. Absolutely.
I love it. God bless. I think this is going to be a really good episode. I think people are going to like it. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. You can find us at what? You can find us at www.thespincyclepod.com. I think we're at the Spin Cycle Pod on everything except for on Twitter, where we're just at Spin Cycle Pod. You can email me at thespincyclepod@gmail.com if you have a subject matter request. And other than that, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kiera McKinney.
And I'm Devin. Bye, guys.
God bless. Goodbye.